Hello everybody, this is Dovetail here, and welcome to another opinion video. Yep, it's another one of those where I just talk about train sim topics and everything. I don't do these videos very often, but then again, there's not really stuff to talk about usually most of the time. But today we do, or tomorrow, whenever you're watching this, as Train Sim World 4 was just announced. Yes, the unnecessary sequel to the unnecessary sequel to the unnecessary sequel. Yes, we have another Train Sim World game. Yeah, we all knew this was coming though. I mean, the leaks came out about a month ago. Yeah, now it's officially been confirmed by Dovetail themselves that yes, Train Sim World 4 is a thing. But Train Sim World 4 does have one very big feature that is worth talking about, and is the reason why this video is not going to be the video that I expected to make. Yeah, I was basically preparing to just, ironically, make a rehash of last year's video that I made on Train Sim World 3, which was, you know, kind of like, yeah, it's the same game and stuff, and of course that is, you know, still kind of true for Train Sim World 4, but there is, like I said, there's one big feature worth talking about, and is the reason why this video won't be a direct rehash of last year's video, but will be more of a, I don't know, kind of a deep dive, I guess, into Train Sim World 4, and, you know, talking about this big new feature, and of course all the smaller stuff, that, of course, that was introduced as well. Now, with that being said, there are still a lot of people angry with Train Sim World 4, and, I mean, I don't really need to explain that deep into it, but I will anyway later on in the video. So with that being said, let's talk about this big new feature coming in Train Sim World 4. And this is the thing that Dovetail decided to share last on the stream because, of course, they did. They decided to lower expectations and then raise them up a little bit. So, yeah. But at long last, after 6 years of waiting, we finally have an editor. Yes, finally, at long last, we can make custom content for Train Sim World. About time. And I mean editor because basically you can do anything. You can make routes, trains, assets, buildings, scenery, and I guess, and also you can make your own timetables as well. Basically, you can now make basically your dream add-on up to the same level as Dovetail games. So yeah, like I said, routes, trains, timetable, all the things. And yeah, the part that excites me the most about this is that this is a full-blown editor. There is no limit to what you can do. You can create basically anything you want. You know, you can either remake a real-world route that you've been dying for them to add in Train Sim World, or you can make your own fictional route. You know, think of a route that you've dreamed of making. Well, you can now make it here in Train Sim World. On top of that, with all the Train Sim World features such as the timetable mode, I think scenario planner might also be a thing. You can also make you can make scenario planner a thing, but Jake's for your own route. But that isn't really necessary though because yeah, you can also make scenarios as well. Yeah, you no longer are limited to just the scenario planner thing, but Jake to make scenarios for Train Sim World. You can now make your own full scenarios, with custom situations or anything like that. Whatever you like. That is now possible in Train Sim World. Well, okay, that's been possible now for a little while now because someone did release an unofficial scenario, but we don't have to use the unofficial one anymore because now we have an official one made by Dovetail Games themselves. So yeah, very good news that we're finally getting a full-blown editor here in Train Sim World, a public editor, which means that, more people, of course, will be able to make content. You're not just the people in the Dovetail Partner Program. Now any old random Joe can come in and make whatever route they want here in Train Sim World, so yeah, we no longer are just limited to whatever Dovetail makes or whatever Dovetail releases on the, on their store for all the official stuff. No, now we can just, do anything. It's pretty cool. I'm sure for all of you content creators out there who, have, like making content for, and content I mean as in, like trains and routes or whatever, yeah, this should be music to your ears as you can finally do that in Train Sim World. And that does include your boy Dovetail. I have been waiting such a long time for like a full-blown editor. Of course, we've had route editors in the past, like Train Sim Classic for trains, but those have their limitations, whereas here in Train Sim World, we'll be able to do so much more with these routes and make the replay value of them a lot more. And yeah, I have some plans for mainly one route I want to make For any long-time viewers of the channel, you may remember way back in the day, in the earlier days of Trains 2 content, I made a route called the 2013 Corridor. Unfortunately, of course, the Trains version of the route has been lost to time for various reasons. But now I will be able to make that route in Train Sim World, and yeah, don't worry, it won't just be just a remake of the Trains version. It will be a much better version, much longer version in Train Sim World. Because especially with stuff like the time to mode, you know, there's so much more I can do with that now, and I'm just very, very excited to get to work on that about a month from now. Yeah, of course, we're still a month away from the editor that I've been waiting such a long time for. But yes, on September 26th, I think that's when the editor comes out. I cannot wait to get to work on that, and you know, just have fun in general. I've wanted to sort of explore the full potential of Train Sim for, you know, some time now, but of course we haven't been able to do that. But now we can with the editor. So yeah, I've been blabbering about the editor for quite some time now, but yeah, I'm just so happy that this is finally a thing in Train Sim World. And yeah, I cannot wait for when the editor drops, because man, when that does, I am gonna get straight to work. I cannot wait for that. Now, I guess I should explain the editor in a bit more detail for those of you who didn't watch the Train Sim World Dovetail Direct that just happened. This is not going to be an in-game editor like what Train Sim Classic has. This is basically a Dovetail or Train Sim World modified version of the Unreal editor. So basically, if you're already familiar with the Unreal editor, you know, you should be able to get straight to grips with this. I'm not, however. I've never used the Unreal editor in my life, well, just because I've never needed to, but now I at least have a reason to learn how to use it and make some content for Train Sim World. So that means this editor is for PC users only. For all the console guys out there who play on the PlayStation or the Xbox, unfortunately, you will not be able to use this editor. And as of right now, I don't think there's a way to like make a route with the PC editor and then import that into the console. I don't think that's possible right now. So as of right now, editor content will only be for PC users. Now, with that being said, Dovetail will probably get around to being, you know, giving us the ability to make content, you know, trains, routes, whatever, and then be able to upload that to the Creators Club. So if you make a route on PC, you'll be able to upload it to the Creators Club and then download it on a console. Yeah. Now, of course, what about making custom content on consoles? I don't think that's ever going to happen. I think just consoles in general just aren't really built for, like, you know, an editor or something like that. Dovetail would have to find a way to make, like, an in-game editor. And I think at this point, that's never going to happen. This Unreal editor is probably the best that's ever going to get. But you know what? At this point, I don't care. I'm just happy that there's an editor at all, considering we've been started this for 6 years now. Yeah, it's been way too long time coming. So yeah, editor is finally coming. Yeah. Alright, I think that pretty much covers all the details about the editor, but if you guys have any questions, then feel free to ask in the comment section down below. But for now, let's now talk about the other features that are coming in Train Sim World 4, because, I mean, everything else is just kind of just small stuff, but, yeah, but, there is one other big feature, though, that, of course, they saved to last, because, of course, it is the free roam mode, and this is another one that does have me quite excited, because, you know, using Scenario Planner to drive, like, any turn in any route or whatever is kind of, you know, it's very limiting. It's not very good, all things considered. I've kind of been wanting something like this for a while. We kind of got this with the training center route last year, but of course you could only make stuff like that for the training center. Now, basically, this is, you know, the training center route, but you can now basically do this on any route in Train Sim World. So you can, oh yeah, you also don't have to use the Scenario Planner either to put down certain trains. You can just spawn the trains right in the world and everything, and I think that is pretty cool. So the free roam thing, I'm not sure how often I'll use it. I'll definitely use it on some of the best routes in Train Sim World, you know, such as the London Commuter or the Boston to Providence routes. Yeah. We'll see what else I get up with it, though. See if I decide to come up with something. But yeah, free roam, that is a feature that I'm also rather excited for. And by the way, free roam mode is going to be for all users, so even if you're on the Xbox or PlayStation, you will also get the free roam mode. In fact, all these features that I'm actually about to go over right now are actually available for all users. It's just the editor that will only be for PC users. I think free roam is something that they also could have done, like, back in the day. Like, you know, actually, a lot of these features they probably could have done a while back, but free roam took a while, but yeah, cool little feature, and we'll see if I can go up with it. And I'm sure you guys will have a lot of fun with this feature as well. Alright, so those are the two big new features that I am rather excited for. However, of course, they decided to put the two best features at the very end of the live stream because, of course, they did. And I have to say, the live stream up until that point was really boring. Like, a lot of the stuff that I'm about to go through, they really took their time with explaining all of it. And I mean, I appreciate that, of course, they're giving a detailed explanation, but the thing is that a lot of these features are just rather uninteresting. So they just didn't really need to spend so much time explaining this. It's kind of just sort of blah, 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 blah. So I'm about to go through all of these other features a bit more quickly. So first up, of course, we have 3 new routes. Of course we do. And the first one is not a German route. Yeah, I am shocked that for the first time in, like, ever or whatever, they didn't do a German route as one of the base routes. They did an Austrian route. Now, granted, Austria is still pretty close to Germany, you know, still kind of that region of Europe. So the experience will be too different from your usual German stuff. In fact, ironically, part of this route actually does run in Germany, but it's mainly Austrian, and is the S-Bahn Vorarlberg Lindu to Blundenz. And I do apologize if I butchered it up, but yes, we're getting an S-Bahn route in Austria as one of the base routes in Train Sim World 4. And this is a commuter route, basically, kind of like the Linzen to Surrey route, which came out a couple years back for Switzerland. Yeah, this is kind of that, but Austria. As far as I know, the route only comes with one train, the some sort of electric multiple unit. I forget the name of, but I'll probably put it up on screen just so you guys can see it. Yeah, it's kind of another sort of German, Austrian, whatever route, commuter route. We've had stuff like this before. So yeah, it's cool that we get OBB and Austria in the game though, but overall, it's kind of just another commuter route, pretty much nothing really much to write home about there. Up next, for the American route, we have a route based in the west coast of the United States, which is a region of the United States that, actually no, we've had like a couple other routes. Yeah, we've had the Peninsula Corridor and Con Pass. Well, we get another one, and this time it's the Antelope Valley line from Los Angeles to Lancaster. So this is another commuter route, funnily enough, here on the west coast. So it's basically another Peninsula Corridor type route. But ironically, well, actually, you know what's funny about this route? They banged this route. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is there, as Peninsula Corridor meets Con Pass. So it's basically taking the two American Western routes that we already had in Train Sim World and making them one. It's basically a commuter route that goes over some very tough terrain, pretty much. So again, I guess you could say that the first couple routes aren't really anything that new for Train Sim World, but we do have Metrolink coming to Train Sim World though. Yeah, Metrolink, they're cool, I guess. I don't really have that much to say about Metrolink, funnily enough, even though I'm an American. But yeah, Metrolink, they're cool, I guess, and it's nice to see them represented here in Train Sim World. And of course, we do have Metrolink. We have like one Metrolink train because, of course, we do. We have those really high coaches and stuff, which is interesting. One thing I am shocked about though was that they didn't take the Bombardier bi-level coaches from the Baby Bullet add-on and just reskin those into Metrolink and put an F59 PHI. No, they actually went and made whole new coaches, and they locomotive that I do think is rather interesting. We don't really have that many American locomotives like that here in Train Sim World. You know, most of the diesels are just kind of just like your stereotypical American diesels. This one is something a bit different, so it's pretty cool. I'm not sure if they will be able to do any freight services. I did see a Union Pacific train though in the background, so maybe there will be layers and stuff that they'll add on from other American routes. So we'll see what happens with that. But now we come to the route that I'm actually the most excited for. It is the East Coast Main Line. Finally, yes, this is a route I have wanted to train somewhere for such a long time, and I'm glad it's finally coming. The East Coast Main Line, which East Coast Main Line, that is my favorite route in Britain actually, as it's the most similar to the Northeast Corridor route here in the United States. So yeah, East Coast Main Line, I am quite looking forward to that. Except they chose a section of the road which is kind of so the East Coast Main Line from Peterborough to Doncaster. Yeah, honestly, when I first knew that the East Coast Main Line was coming to Train Sim World, I thought they were going to do the section from London to Peterborough, which, to be honest, I thought that was kind of a long, so like London to Peterborough. I mean, Dovetail, they don't really like to do long urban routes or anything like that, so yeah. But then when they dropped it was Peterborough to Doncaster, yeah, I was like, yeah, this is Dovetail games, pretty much. They picked basically probably the least interesting part of the East Coast Main Line. Yeah, of course, Dovetail Games always picks the least interesting stuff. But yeah, yeah. So of course, Dovetail finally brings the East Coast Main Line to Train Sim World, and they pick probably, yeah, like I said, the most bland, uninteresting part of the East Coast Main Line. I don't even think there's any commuter trains that run through there. Yeah, funnily enough, the Class 700 will actually be a layered train, but it's only going to be for like the services at Peterborough. Yeah, you can't actually drive the 700 anywhere besides that, because of course you can't drive it down to London, because otherwise, yeah, it'd be too expensive for Dovetail. So instead, you'll be going up to Doncaster, which, you know, if they want to do the route from Peterborough, I think they should have done the route all the way up to York, make it a bit longer, but nah, it's only up to Doncaster, which I guess Doncaster does make some sense as like a terminus thing, as Doncaster is a very, very historical location in British railway history. The route itself, though, is 80 miles long, making it, I think, the longest route of the base package, although I guess one thing was mentioned that the Ava Valley line in America is kind of a long route as well. But yeah, 80 miles, making it, actually, I think they mentioned it was the longest route in train, the longest British route in Train Sim World, which actually is kind of weird, because wasn't the Southeast Must Be Extended route, was that the longest one? Although, to be fair, that was kind of like more of like a network sort of route. This is just the one, you know, A to B end to end route. And the train that will be featured in this route is the Class 801. I mean, obviously, of course, it's gonna be the 801. That is like the primary high-speed train that runs on that route these days. So good to see the Class 800 make its Train Sim World debut. But overall, the route itself is just kind of I mean, it is high speed, and I do like my high speed route, but it's just sort of like a middle of nowhere high speed route, and it's not that long either. So yeah, it's cool that they finally brought the East Coast Main Line to Train Sim World, but like I said, they chose the most bland, boring part of the East Coast Main Line. Yeah, if they did the route though from London to Peterborough, then yeah, I'd be a lot more excited for this. But Peterborough to Doncaster, still interesting, I guess. But yeah, it'll get old pretty quickly. So yeah. Also, one thing that was mentioned on the stream is that the Riesa to Dresden route will be getting upgrades and will be brought up to Train Sim World 4 standard. So you'll have the new lighting effects that they introduced in Train Sim World 3, and some of the other stuff and bits and bobs that they'll be adding in Train Sim World 4. And somewhat surprisingly, you won't just get extra routes here in Train Sim World 4, but you will also be getting a couple of trains. Yeah, a couple of trains if you decide to go through like the Deluxe Edition as well. First up is the big one, the Flying Scotsman. Yes, the most famous steam engine in the whole world is coming to Train Sim World. So, Flying Scotsman, definitely a very worthy addition to Train Sim World. And of course, the East Coast Main Line will be the home route for the Flying Scotsman, because where else? And yeah, I'm actually quite excited for this one though, because you know, we don't have that many steam engines in Train Sim World, and the 3 engines that we do have are they're cool, but they're not really for me. But the Flying Scotsman, of course, a high-speed steam engine, so I'm actually very much looking forward to flying that up and down the East Coast Main Line a few times. So yeah, Flying Scotsman, definitely looking forward to that. And the other new locomotive in this deluxe pack is the Siemens Vectron locomotive. Yeah, Siemens Vectron, definitely a rather interesting engine, and it is in the rail pool livery, and I think you'll only be able to do freight services with that. But yeah, Siemens Vectron, also a rather interesting addition to Train Sim World, and I do like my Siemens locomotives, so I'll give that a try and have some fun with that. So that is all of the, I guess, core routes and things for Train Sim World 4. So now that we've gone over all that stuff, let's now go over some more features. Now, all these features I'm about to go over are, I guess, in sort of the category of features that really should have been there sooner, and really aren't as big of a deal as the editor or, I guess, the Fury mode. They're just kind of in a category of, it's nice that they're here, but they should have been here sooner. So, first up are actually a couple of features that I felt were coming at some point, because they actually had these features on the roadmap, but then I guess removed them, because I guess they just weren't working on them for some reason, but now they have made it. First up is the Scenario Planner 2.0. So, yeah, improvements to the Scenario Planner are coming, and they're kind of minor. You basically can, you know, rather than going from A to B, you can rather go from A to B to C to A or whatever. Basically, you have more options, pretty much. Like, yeah, rather than, you know, just put some trains down and whatever. Now there's more things that you can do in the scenario planner, which I guess is kind of cool if you're stuck on consoles and you want to make a scenario or something. It's still rather limited, and there's not that much you can do with it, but it does at least have, at least will come with more options available to you. Like you can set the start time or the weather or anything like that. Basically, now you have some more creative freedom with the scenario planner now. So, nice. Up next is the Livery Designer 2.0, and I thought the first version of the Livery Designer was actually pretty good. I mean, I didn't think there was really need for a Livery Designer 2.0, and funnily enough, the new stuff coming to Livery Designer isn't really all that big. You have a redo and undo feature, which I cannot believe it took them this long to add. But also, you'll be able to type out text. So yeah, rather than before where you take a million different letters or whatever, and you have to try to, you know, make them all like type them, you know. But rather than make a word individually, you can just type it out and then paste it somewhere on the train. So at least text, or applying text, will become easier in the Train Sim World Livery Editor. Not much to say about that. So up next we have Creator Club improvements. We get to kind of relate to the first two thing. Yeah, so the Creators Club is getting some improvements, so you'll be able to, you know, more easily be able to filter out some stuff. Like if you can filter out stuff for content that you don't have. So basically, if you don't own certain add-ons and you want something, or want a mod, I guess, for a specific add-on, you can just change the filters and get that kind of stuff, which is actually kind of good for me, because sometimes I'd like to go in the Creators Club and I want to get a livery, but I want to get a livery for a specific train, and previously the options just weren't really that good. But at least now you'll be able to find what you want more easily. There's also a couple other small stuff here and there, but I'm not going to bother to mention it because it's so minuscule that you'll eventually find out about it when you get into the game, or if you haven't got Train Sim World, then it's just so significant that you'll probably, yeah, and it's not really nothing to write home about, pretty much. It's just small. And finally, photo mode. Yeah, this is something else that I cannot believe took 6 years to implement in Train Sim World. It feels like this should have been something that really should have been there, actually, since the first ever Train Sim World came out, or at least should have been there, you know, a lot sooner. I mean, it's 2023 now. This game has been around for 6 years, and at long last we're getting a photo mode. Yeah, finally. I mean, well, I say finally, but it should have been there a lot sooner, as is these other little things that that are coming that I just mentioned. But yeah, photo mode. So basically now it'll be easier to like get screenshots, whatever. You know, it's kind of like Train Sim Classic, where you could hit the pause break button and it would stop the game, and you could get a picture. That's basically like what you can do here in Train Sim World. So no more having to time it out exactly correct to get the right shot. Now you can actually stop the game and have, you know, it makes it easier to take screenshots, basically. And you also get other filters as well, stuff like, you know, the draw distance or anything, something like that, you know, blurring effects or whatever. You do have some options here and there to sort of make the photo stuff look more pretty. So that's nice, at least. It's basically kind of like a photo mode that you'd find in, say, a racing game or something like that. Obviously, it probably won't have features to the level of a racing game that you might already be familiar with, but they'll probably add some stuff later on, or not. I guess we'll see what happens with photo mode. So now for some more small stuff, and this is stuff that I guess kind of makes sense they added it later on, but you know, these features are stuff that did not need a whole new Train Sim World game. You could have just implemented these in updates, but yeah, it's Dovetail. First up is the Scoring 2.0. Yeah, the already pointless scoring system in Train Sim World is now getting an update to basically make it more accurate. So, you know, the way that you drive is now more reflective of your score. You know, things like stopping accuracy, punctuality, all that stuff is going to be scored a little bit differently now. So yeah, cool, I guess. But did this really need to be like a Train Sim World 4 thing? Why couldn't we have just gotten this in, like, you know, yeah, this is kind of like, why do we need Train Sim World 4 for this? This could have just been a thing in its own little update. But yeah, so now the Scoring 2.0 is one of the new features in Train Sim World 4. Another thing is a thing called ease of use, which basically gives you more. It's yeah, ease of use is basically a group of settings that you can tune to make the game either easier or more difficult. Like if you're a noob, I guess, and you want to make everything simple, you can turn a bunch of stuff on that will help you and guide you through everything. And then of course, if you're more advanced player, you can turn all that stuff off and just have a more raw simulation experience if that's what you're looking for. So yeah, ease of use. Yeah, basically it makes the game more friendly for new players and also more interesting for advanced players. And with that is also coming a new HUD. I say new, it's not really that new, but they did change a couple of the details and stuff. I can't really explain it, but stuff looks different. So, yay. There is a bar, though, that I kept on seeing that was in the top right-hand corner of the screen. They never mentioned that for some reason, and it actually looks kind of cool. It actually looks kind of like the HUD from the old Train Simulator Classic. So, yeah, kind of wish they would explain that, but for some reason they just... Yeah, it's funny. They mentioned all this other small stuff, but they totally glossed over that for some reason, which I don't know why, because honestly, I'm more interested in that and then all this other little stuff that they kept on talking about. So, we're almost at the end of the list of features, but we still have a couple small stuff to go over. These aren't really features, though, like stuff you can actually do in the game. These are just more detail improvements. So first we have overhead wires detailing. I'm guessing they're thickening the wires and doing some other stuff to make them look more realistic. So, yeah. I thought the overhead wires, though, looked fine beforehand, but I guess it's good that they're making it look more realistic, so, yeah. Next up is raindrops on the windshield. So, yeah, now whenever you're driving in rain, the raindrops on the windshield will look more realistic and more lifelike, so that's pretty cool. Next up is suspension travel. So, basically, as you move along, the train will bounce up and down, a bit more realistically. And then you'll actually see the suspension movements and everything. So I think that's another cool little detail. And funnily enough, that feature isn't going to be in Trains World 4 when it launches. It will be added in after. But yeah, I guess just another nice little detail to make it more realistic. Up next is vibrations on controllers. So if you play Train Simulator on a controller as opposed to keyboard and mouse, you'll feel vibrations now, I guess. I guess whenever you go over junctions or whatever something happens, you'll actually feel that in your controller. So I guess provides a more immersive experience if you're on a console or just like to play Train Sim World with a controller. Up next, we have the sequel to Volumetric Skies from Train Sim World 3. Now we have Volumetric Fog. Yes. Again, another rather insignificant thing, but yeah, fog now looks a lot better in Train Sim World. Yeah, not much I can say about it actually, but yeah, new fog effects coming to Train Sim World 4 that, to be fair, do look really, really cool. I gotta hand it to the Dovetail graphics team, or Train Sim World graphics team, I should say. And finally, stuff for if you play on a PlayStation controller. Yeah, so if you play Train Sim World on the PlayStation, you'll get sort of like interactions or I guess reactions or whatever, like the thing will change color or make noises or whatever. I'm not sure how it'll work, and I'll never know because I don't play this game on a PlayStation 4 controller, but for all your PlayStation users out there, your experience is about to get a little bit more realistic with the controllerisms, so yeah. And that's everything. That is all the new routes, trains, features, and stuff coming to Train Sim World 4. Obviously, a lot of stuff really pales in comparison to the editor. I still can't believe that's finally coming. But yeah, lots of little bitty stuff's coming to Train Sim World 4. But let's face it, we don't care about this stuff. We're all excited for the editor, or at least I hope we are. I don't know. Okay, at least us content creators are excited for the editor coming to Train Sim World 4. So that's very exciting indeed. So then, how was the community reacting to Train Sim World 4? Because last year, well, a lot of people were angry about Train Sim World 3, and it's actually much the same, I gotta be honest. Even with the big new announcements of the editor, there were a lot of people that are still really upset with Dovetail games. There's a lot of the same comments saying, "Oh, I didn't buy Train Sim World 3, and I will not be buying Train Sim World 4," which I think those comments are completely understandable, and yeah, I can understand why people are frustrated with Train Sim World 4, and I have to agree, really just about everything that I went over, it did not need to be a whole new game. It could have just been like updates, sprinkled in, across Train Sim World here and there. This does not need to be a new thing. It's just kind of, ridiculous. I mean, especially the fact that we're on the 4th game now, and yet we're only now getting an editor. And by the way, still no multiplayer. Yeah, hey, we got the editor at long last, but multiplayer, oops, still missing on that feature. And yet we are now 4 games in. Oh boy, man, I mean, at this point, it's gonna be Train Sim World 5. Like, yeah, they're gonna make Train Sim World 5 either next year or the year after, and that will finally be the day that we get multiplayer in Train Sim World. I say that. I mean, to be fair, they did finally add an editor, so maybe we'll get a multiplayer someday in Train Sim World, but I wouldn't hold my breath. And by the way, if you're dying for a multiplayer experience right now, play SimRail. But overall, most people are once again not happy with Train Sim World. There are still, of course, some people excited. The people who've been, sucking up to Dovetail for quite some time now. They're the ones who are still excited for Train Sim World 4. Me personally, I am actually quite excited for Train Sim World 4, but only because of the editor. If the editor was not a thing in Train Sim World 4, I wouldn't even care. I wouldn't even care at all. Like, oh, cool, Train Sim World 4, we got a bunch of new stuffs here and there, yada, 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 but it's just, it's like, who even cares? I mean, seriously, the main thing saving Train Sim World 4 for me is the editor. If that was not coming, I wouldn't even care. I mean, I would care, but, not to, a super excited level, so, yeah, and that's kind of what I was expecting going in, but, yeah, the editor is really the big saving point for Train Sim World 4 for me, and it's the only reason why I'm actually excited for this game. Otherwise, it's just the same song and dance once again. So if you choose not to buy Train Sim World 4, I feel you. I can understand, why you would be frustrated at, Train Sim World 4. And if you want to play a train simulation game that's made by honest developers who are, not trying to rip you off, SimRail is the way to go. Yeah, so SimRail actually has multiplayer, so if you've been dying for multiplayer Train Sim, SimRail is the way to go. And also, SimRail will be getting its own editor as well. So if you want to make your own custom content, but you don't want to do it for Train Sim World, SimRail will be getting editing tools there as well. We don't know when the editing tools are coming to SimRail, but when they do come, you'll also be able to make completely your own stuff, like your own routes, trains, and stuff, and even you'll probably be able to make your own multiplayer segments as well over in SimRail when that happens. But right now, editor's coming to Train Sim World, so I'm personally that will hold me over until the editor comes to SimRail. But like I said, if you don't want to get Train Sim World 4, again, fine, wait for SimRail. So in my personal opinion, I've been kind of just going over it here and there, but yeah, a lot of this stuff could have just been updates rather than all part of a whole new game release, And I mean, obviously, because the way that Dovetail works, and this is how they are with Train Sim World, rather than doing what they should do, their whole strategy is to act like they're making a whole new game that is totally not the same game as the previous one, but of course added a bunch of new features to make you feel like you're, make it feel like it's a new game, when really it's just the previous game with some updates. That's really all it is. And I guess this has worked for Dovetail for a long time now at this point, but at least with SimRail now, they probably won't be doing this for too much longer. Obviously they're doing it, they're doing it now because because SimRail hasn't taken center fold yet, but once the editing tools do come to SimRail and SimRail becomes the dominant train simulator, then I guess we'll see if Dovetail decides to finally get their stuff together or continue to rebuff customers. And I mean, I'm glad they're finally editing an editor, but come on, it's just kind of ridiculous at this point. So as I mentioned in the last video that I made, I have not spent a single penny on Train Sim World, and that is going to continue to be true for Train Sim World 4. Yes, I know I mentioned the editor, and I'm really excited for that. However, fun enough, you don't actually need to buy Train Sim World to access the editor. You could buy Train Sim World on Steam, and then through the Epic Games Store, you can download the Train Sim World editor through that. So I am going to be getting a torrent of Train Sim World, and then I will download the editor through the Unreal Editor, and then of course I'll have fun with that and make all the custom contents and stuff in the world that my brain can dream of. I know I got excited at the beginning there, but don't worry, I still have no plans to buy Train Sim World, and I think even if they were to finally add a multiplayer feature, I would probably still torrent it and then find some way to, make the multiplayer feature work. Unless, who knows, I might buy it if if it's like finally to the level that I want it to be, but it's still not quite there just yet. But regardless, I am still massively looking forward to the editor, and that is the main reason why I'm excited for Train Sim World 4. Everything else, yeah, I'll probably get bored of it pretty quickly, but at least the editor does give me a reason to play Train Sim World somewhat in the long term, at least until Simro gets its editing tools, in which case I'll switch over to making content for that. As for you, like I said last year, if you really want Train Sim World 4, you know, you can make your own informed decision to buy it or not buy it. Again, if you're really desperate for it, buy it in a sale or do what I do and torrent it. I don't really recommend buying it at full price because, oh boy, man, some of the additions to this game are very, very, very expensive. Like, even more expensive than Train Sim World 3. So, yeah. Make your own informed decision. Don't buy it straight away. Wait until it comes out and some reviews come out. And, like I said, yeah, then make your own informed decision. Alright, well, that video was quite a lot longer than I thought it was going to be, but I hope this was still at least a more tightly knit look into Train Sim World 4 than what Dovetail did and what some other creators will probably do. But yeah, Train Sim World 4, I believe, comes out like September 26th or something, somewhere late September. But funnily enough, the Deluxe edition and I think even the Special edition will be coming out 5 days before that. However, I'm mainly excited for September 26th, as that is the day that the editor launches. Until then, though, hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. I wonder how many of you new guys are going to be watching this video. So yeah, if you're new here, subscribe. I do a lot of train simulation type content, and I will be doing some gameplay on Train Sim World 4. But of course, I also look into other train simulation games, including Simreal. So yeah, definitely gives you reason to subscribe to this channel. So with that being said, I will see you in whatever I make next.